there is, because most of us are, concerned would be the right word when we're talking about some of the biggest banks in the world. But one of the biggest banks in the world today has come out literally saying National's tax cuts would be inflationary. Now, Christopher Luxon to Jack Tame has already said they're inflationary. Remember, Jack Tame trapped him, I don't know whether it was on purpose or not, when he said they'd be no more inflationary than what the government was spending. So yes, they are inflationary. And then there was a debate with Nicola Willis, and she read out Treasury statement that she thought it was a defence of their tax cuts, where it said it wouldn't be as inflationary, which means it was still inflationary, maybe just not as inflationary as what some of the spending was. And that comes down to the fact that some people were going to save it. So if 30% of people saved it, it would probably be 70% as inflationary. So we've already been told it's inflationary by Luxon. We've already been told it's inflationary by Nicola Willis. But they still seem to have this dilemma that when they get told their tax cuts are inflationary, they go, nuh-uh. And I'm not entirely sure why, Chewy, because both of them have already told us that they are. And now Goldman Sachs has jumped in.
And National leader Christopher Luxon is disputing criticism from Goldman Sachs that his promised tax cuts will increase the cost of living.
Thought John Key would have been calling his mates back in Goldman Sachs saying, hey guys, let's just release this after the election, eh? Maybe that would be a good idea.
It comes as the Council of Trade Unions, a strong Labour ally, claims only 3,000 households would actually benefit from the maximum tax cut National is offering.
3,000.
Political reporter Amelia Wade explains.
Remember we talked about this last night, the caveats that come with that promise of $250 a fortnight. There are several caveats. Council of Trade Unions, obviously they were listening to the show last night. They've come out and they've nailed it down even more to show you exactly who will be getting them.
The campaign is rolling on for Labour without its leader.
So good.
Visiting well-fed in Porirua to learn how to make good kai for cheap, a big focus of their campaign.
I wish cooking was
a roll-up, a scroll.
The cost of living, a big focus for National's campaign too.
National will help with tax relief of up to $250 a fortnight.
To get that, the family must be spending at least $300 a fortnight on childcare and needs 2 adults earning between $53,500 and $66,000 to get the $25.30 per week tax.
So there, let's just pause it on that.
Jesus.
So this is the
Lower
criteria.
middle income, New Zealand.
This is remember, minimum wage is $47,000. We learnt that yesterday from Mr. Luxon. Just kidding. He didn't know. Anyway, so it's not that much higher above minimum wage, but, within that band. But also remember, childcare implies early childhood education. So the one thing that this doesn't say from the CTU, pardon me, is that also your child needs to be between 2 and 5. Because if you're spending $300 per week, so funnily enough, News Hub has said per week. Why don't we say per fortnight? Because that's what National does. So if you're spending $600 a fortnight, they will give you a $250 a week tax cut, a fortnight tax cut. So you're still spending $350 a fortnight. Now, on top of all of that, remember they're getting rid of the 20 hours of free childcare that is under Labour. So what this also means is some people with that childcare who are currently getting it free, it may not be the full $300, but a portion of that free will now be paying $300 and be given back in tax cuts far less than $300, up to $125 a week. So when you look at the details, apparently that's where the devil is. Not that I'm calling Mr. Luxon the devil. Others might. I wouldn't. That's where the devil is always in the detail. So this is what the CTU has done. They've made it very, very clear. $300 per week. 2 people earning precisely between 53 and 66. So there's a $13,000 band there you have to fit into. Then you can get $125 a week.
Pat.
Yes.
You know how their tax calculator was giving nothing last night? It's because they've relaunched it.
I did some numbers on it this evening to share with you as well.
The new one?
Yeah, I guess so. It was this evening.
Okay, I'm going to do my one then while you're
All
talking.
right, you do yours and we'll play some more of the story from the CTU.
Cut. And the Council of Trade Unions has worked out just how many families would get that and estimates only about 3,000 households would.
If the National Party disagrees with this analysis, it should show who benefits and when.
But hang on, that means you have to show the workings, and they don't need to do that because they've written a one-line summary.
Families will get the 200.
I can't remember exactly the full number. I can come back to you afterwards.
Nationals also disagreeing with other numbers. The world's largest investment banks warning those tax cuts would actually make the cost of living worse by raising inflation.
Disagree strongly. Our tax plan is actually fully funded.
For Christopher Luxon,
You've already said it's inflationary, Mr. Luxon. You said it to Jack Tame. You said, quote, no more inflationary than the government spend. That means it's inflationary. You've already said it.
Say I disagree is not good enough. He actually needs to show why it's not true, and he hasn't done that.
What both major parties have done today is serve up more slams. Labor's saying the Nats' plan to change benefits would put more children in poverty.
Chris Luxon, if he wins, the rest of New Zealand loses.
While the Nats are saying Labor MPs are openly defying their leader with a want for a wealth tax.
I think that is, you're seeing very clearly from the Labor Party caucus, you've had 3 MPs, I think, come out over the last 24 hours.
So I think this is a complete beat up by the National Party to distract from the fact that their own tax plan doesn't stack up.
Nationals campaign chair taking to Twitter to say the Labor Party was lying about offering up Grant Robertson to debate Luxon instead of Hipkins. But the press editor has confirmed Robertson was in fact offered up for the debate.
Why was he lying on Twitter yesterday about Grant Robertson not putting his hand up to debate you?
Well, we haven't had a formal appeal to say I want to, for us to debate Grant Robertson.
And Chris,
the stutter, remember from the debate night, the stutter comes out when he gets caught in something.
To debate Grant Robertson.
And Chris Bishop should apologise for that, and actually he should probably just calm down.
I don't think Chris Bishop has anything to apologise for.
So no scrolls of sorries being served up today, just some scrolls themselves.
Okay, well.
So here's the thing, yeah. Let's have a look at that CTU information. I've just worked it out because there's approximately 2 million households in New Zealand. If the CTU is correct and National need to show their workings and that the $125 a week, $250 a fortnight tax cut is available to 3,000 households, that is, can you see my number? 0.15%. So that's about 1/8 of 1% of the country. So this cornerstone flag tax policy, election policy about up to $250 a week will affect 0.15%. That's not 15%, that's 0.15 of 1% of the country. Those are the people that they're speaking to with the hundreds of thousands of dollars they're spending on advertising, telling the rest of us who aren't getting it, which is 99.85% of us who aren't eligible for that, when 0.15% of us are. 3,000 households out of 2 million households. Chewy.
The tax cut is not for us. It is not for low and middle income earners. It never was.
Yeah.
This is something that is not a surprise. It is data that has been banging around for a while, that it was never going to stand up, that it doesn't do the things that they said it was, that it's not going to be funded in the way that they think it is, or the way that they're telling us it is.
Yeah.
It is a lie and has always been a lie. They can't defend it. That's why they don't want anybody to look at it. That's why they get so shitty when people point out what a fucking tissue thin pretense of a policy that they've come up with. Like, it's just nonsense. The Greens come out and they showed their working right from the get-go. And they got a fraction of the play with it.
Yeah.
Because they're the Greens. And because Chippy said, don't worry about it. We're not doing it. But National can just parade this pile of shit down Main Street on a float, and everybody goes, "Oh, that's fucking great!" Like, well, the media, well,
yeah, bingo.
Like they have this they have a ton of the access, the resources that we have, and it's people like us, it's Spider Hoof, and was it Dave the other one?
The other Paul.
They're the ones that are holding this up to the light.
Yeah, and this is Spiderhoof. Hi Spiderhoof. Everyone say hi Spiderhoof. Hi Spiderhoof. Did you
Hello,
do that in primary
Spiderhoof.
school? Everyone say good evening to Mr. Spiderhoof.
Hello, Mr. Spiderhoof.
I posted all about this BS data ages ago, and I posted it $75 childcare scam months ago when they first released it. Fuck you to the media for not picking up on it way back then. But also, let's be fair, fuck you to Labour. I mean, why was it me? Why am I the first person to hear me? Am I the first person? I haven't heard anyone else say 0.15% of all households are eligible for that. No, I haven't heard anyone else say that. I worked it out here, thanks to the CTU, but Labor could have done those numbers. They could have worked it out. What are their back end people doing? I've got their fucking digital media people contacting me going, hey, do you want some information? I'm like, why don't you just go and do some fucking work? Honestly, go and do some fucking work. Work this out for yourself. Get it out there amongst your people and stop people like me and Chewy and Spiderhoof and Paul, the other one, and all these people who are telling the rest of the nation about this and not getting the traction. And the people who are watching, the 500,000 people who watch fucking TVNZ are getting none of it. It's infuriating. And actually, fuck you, Labour. You have not done your job. You have not done your job, Labour. You have done this nation wrong. Sorry, Jay.
Someone should offer a tax-free threshold to pay for it with wealth tax. They have the Greens. The Greens did it. It's just like when people talk about how politics is all the same and it doesn't matter who they vote for. They keep voting for the people in the middle that are just shuffling the ball.
Yeah.
Shuffling the ball, giving us the same platitudes about the squeezed middle. Oh, we care about you low and middle income earners. No, you don't. You never fucking do. You don't talk about the people that matter. You don't talk about the people that have to live with the consequences of these policies for longer than anyone else. It's all just so tiresome. And I think, how long, if you're young, like if you're under 30, how long can you maintain the rage before you just go, you know what? Doesn't matter. Not going to get angry about it. Just not going to get involved. Just going to clock out. Just going to clock out. Doesn't matter. Change anything.
Maintaining the rage right now. Fuck him.
Yeah, maintaining the rage. Yeah.
Tracy says, obviously with tongue in cheek, you could always join Labour, Pat, and get a job. It's like the thing is, I think most people who sit on the left in this kind of space would happily help out parties on the left to get their messaging out there. But do you hear anything from them? They won't even come on the show. Like even when they're leaders in isolation, they won't even come on the show. And look, I'm not bitter about that. No one's ever entitled to their time, right? We really aren't. But it's like they just, I just think I just had a little moment there. When we worked in radio, that was called blowing your foo-foo valve. I just blew my foo-foo valve. Based on how I've just realised what a shit job Labor's done. And I'm not voting for Labor this year, so I'm not a Labor supporter, but I certainly want the left to get through. And as goes Labor, so goes the left. And they're just done a shithouse job. So fuck them right in the arsehole.
I just want to point out, Martin, you may have misconstrued me. Democracy is still a good idea. I'm not calling for whatever you want. I assume it's some sort of universe based on the Warhammer 40k works. Democracy is still good. However, there are some things that we can do to change democracy. I think we've been quite vocal here on the show that we should remove money from political donations and that sort of thing. I think we are really seeing an election that is skewed very heavily on that. The sheer weight of advertising that is coming out of the right because they just have literal money to burn, where no business has donated any money to Labour for like 5 years. Like, that's fucked. It is absolutely fucked. Get money out of politics. Get the lobbyists out of politics. If you were an MP and you want to go and work in an industry, you get no access to your mates anymore.
And vice versa. If you used to work in that industry, then you recuse yourself from being involved in legislation around that industry. Goes both ways.
Yep. The other thing, still think it's a good idea. Nobody's knocking down my door on this one. If you're an MP and you're in your house and you are setting legislation and that sort of thing, you should not have any investments. That is it. Make the choice. Make the hard choice. You're going into politics. You're going to become a public servant. Then sell up, because every choice you make affects your investments.
Yeah.
Put your house in a blind trust. I don't care. Just don't have it. Don't have 7 houses. No. Don't have a close personal friend that you play golf with every weekend as the head of Fonterra. That's just an example I've pulled out of thin air. But by the way, I'm not accusing anyone. Don't own Auckland Airport. These are just simple rules. We'll change the system. But also, if things aren't changing, stop voting the way that you usually do. Go more extreme. Move the needle more.
We're going to move into the last subject of the day. But before we do that, very generous super chat from Caleb. Thanks, Caleb. Caleb with a K. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. I really like that. Caleb with a K. I wonder if Caleb is really with a K, or that's like his handle. It's with a C, but online it does it with a K. But I like that, Caleb with a K. Strategy-wise, is there any reason to electorate vote for a party that you know will already get into Parliament? The party vote will make sure they end up at the same number of seats. Go to Party Māori top Greens. Yes, the only reason your electorate vote counts is if you're in a Māori seat, or if you're somewhere like Ilam, or I guess Central Auckland with Chloe. So those ones where smaller parties, Chloe doesn't really even matter that much because the Greens will be there, but I think to have a Green member winning seats is quite important. The more seats, the better for the smaller parties. Obviously, Ilam will get top in, so that matters. But other than that, no, your electorate vote doesn't really matter at all, unless, of course, you have a real passion for having a particular person as an MP in your electorate. So where I live, I don't know if it's the same for you, Chewy, but where I am, David Clark is the outgoing
I'm the same electorate as
MP
you.
here. Now, he's not restanding, but if he was restanding and I really wanted to have a Labour MP as my local MP, then yeah, I'd vote for David Clark. But if I didn't care whether a Labour MP won it or a National, because I'm never doing anything locally, then all that matters is my party vote, because the party vote, okay, I'm going to oversimplify it. I know you all geniuses know this, but the party vote is all that matters. That denotes the number of MPs, unless you don't get to 5%, like top, for example. So let's say you get 50% of the vote, just for argument's sake, down the line. That's 60 seats in Parliament. If you win 28 electorate seats, then you get 32 list MPs. If you win 20 electorate seats, then you get 40 MPs, so 50% of the votes. If your party vote is 50%, you get 60 seats, you get 60 MPs. The first amount of them is made up by the electorate seats. So if you get 3 electorate seats, then you get 3 electorate seats, and you get 57 list MPs. So that's why it doesn't make any difference as long as you cross the 5% threshold as to how many MPs there are for voting that way or not. So, Caleb, what I would say to you is that if you are in one of those seats where there is potentially, Tamaki, there is a bit of a battle on for Tamaki, Central Auckland, Ilam, don't know if there's any others really, that could be all. Most other ones, doesn't really matter.